While he doesn't have a cape, this hero has a cause. Born with Treacher Collins Syndrome, Jono Lancaster has dedicated his life to helping others who look different to look deeper and to find love for themselves.
First of all, Jono Lancaster, thank you so much for joining us again here with AwareNow. Thank you.
Absolutely, my pleasure for having me back and giving me the opportunity to share. And I always love connecting with you guys. So yeah, thank you for having me back.
Absolutely. So let's start here. For those who are not yet familiar with your story, you were born with Treacher Collins Syndrome. So I'd like to start in terms of love and hate. Let's dive in there. Abandoned at birth, the facial difference, as you got older, you began to hate not only your face, but the world as well. Through all the highs and the lows that you've had on your journey, Jono, you were able to turn your differences into strengths. My question is, what happened that helped you love your face again, helped you love you again, and find the strength to serve as the hero that you are in this world?
You know, that's such a powerful question, and it's so hard just to give a simple answer. And I would love to say that there was a strategy, there was a plan, there was a conscious effort of being able to find that love. But over the years, it was just so much trial and error, so much getting it wrong, so much winging it. But luckily, I had people around me that have shown me love and given me strength and laid down foundations for me to be able to explore life. And through that process, through all those years, I feel so blessed and so lucky to be able to say, you know what? I love my face. I love the world that I live in. And yeah, there are times that I wish I had been able to reach that point earlier on in my life. But the fact that I'm here now, I just feel incredibly blessed. And I know other people aren't in that place. So the book really goes into how I got there in a lot more detail. And yeah, I just want to share everything that's inside here and inside here to help people find that self-love.
Awesome. So let's get to this book. So not all heroes wear capes. Not only is this a true statement, but it is also the title of your new book. So let's talk about the term hero. How do you, Jono, how do you define it? What is a hero?
A hero for me, it literally can be anybody. You know, you could be on the bus tomorrow and you could be sat next to somebody who's done heroic stuff in their life. And when we talk about heroes, you know, there's surgeons, doctors, nurses, there's people that have fought for the country, there are people that keep us safe, you know, they are out there and it's very obvious that they are heroes. And there's also other heroes that don't always get that recognition. And it might be in a case for me, and throughout the book, I talk about strangers that I've met along the way. And that hero, what they did was a handshake and a smile when I needed it the most. And those moments changed my life forever in the most empowering way. And we all can do some pretty heroic stuff day in, day out by simply being ourselves, open with a smile, good morning, good afternoon. Yeah.
Let's talk a little more about heroes. Was there a specific hero that you had as you were growing up as a kid? And then also, what other heroes specifics? Can you name a couple?
So in the book, it starts off with the biggest hero in my life, and that was my mum, or is my mum. She met me at 2 weeks old, and every conversation that she had around myself, it was, Jonathan looks different. He might not be able to walk, he might not be able to talk. We don't know how he'll develop mentally, but would you like to meet him? And Jean was just like, of course, I'd love to meet this tiny little human. And she met me at 2 weeks. And ever since that moment she met me, she has loved me. She has celebrated me. She has helped me build, like I said, some beautiful foundations for me to live my best life. And she turned 80 last year, and she's getting shorter and shorter as she gets older and older, but her heart is just still so unbelievably massive, and she still loves and she still supports. And yeah, she's the biggest hero in my life, and I'm so blessed to have her. Moving on, today, the biggest hero in my life, and believe me, it takes something pretty extraordinary to top Mama Jean. But the biggest hero in my life is myself. And the reason why I say that is because every night I have a head full of thoughts and a heart that beats for me and only me. And whatever's going on in my life, I have to wake up, get dressed, step out the door, and go and live and love and seek adventure. Then I have to do the hard stuff. I don't have to. I choose to do my therapy. I choose to do my meditation. Sometimes I'm debating whether to have a cake or a salad. Sometimes I'm dealing with a panic attack. Sometimes I'm just managing my social anxiety. Sometimes I'm on a date and it goes terribly wrong, or I'm having to go through a breakup. Sometimes my mum gets sick and I'm fearing that I might lose her one day. The biggest hero in my life is me, trying to navigate through all of that and just do me. And that's what the book is about, recognizing the heroes in our lives, but also saying, hey, look, you, the person reading this book, you are one of the, if not the biggest hero in your life too. So, yeah.
I think that's so hard for someone to say. Like you just said, well, I'm going to say, I think that people automatically think it can't be me. It's someone else, anyone but me. But therein lies the challenge and the growth, perhaps.
Yeah, and I purposely did some questions on my Instagram a while back, and I asked them straight off who was the biggest hero in their life. And we had mums, dads, we had children, we had friends, we had therapists, we had doctors, so many amazing people, and they need to be celebrated. And then I asked them, what are some of the biggest things that they have had to overcome themselves? And again, we had so many heartbreaking things: miscarriages, overcoming addictions, the loss of a loved one, suicide attempts. People had overcome so much in their life. And the final thought was, you guys have overcome all this stuff, and not one person has said that they were a hero in their own life. And I was like, you need to start thinking about that, because all these other people will help you through whatever trauma, whatever life throws at you. But you are the one that's actually got to do it, has got to start it, has got to receive that information, has got to put that next step in process. So yeah, it's time we started looking within ourselves for some heroic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, but so again, you are a hero, Jono. Your story gives strength to so many who are seeking courage, seeking confidence. Now, your story is one that you've spoken about on stages and in places all over the world, but only recently have you written about it in pages, 224 pages to be exact. So my question now is, what did writing this book do for you? That's part A. And what do you hope that it does for those who read it?
Writing the book was one of the hardest things that I've had to do. See, when I speak to audiences all over the world, people have come up to me, they've stayed behind at the end and said, Jono, I was one of this crowd, but it felt like I was the only person there and you were speaking to me. And we've connected, we've shared, we've embraced, and we've gone our separate ways. And I just know that person, I don't know all their details, I don't know what they needed, but I know that they got something from listening to me. Whatever part of that story they resonated, they took something away. So when I was writing, I wanted to try and capture that in the book. And I've shared personal stories. I've stripped everything back and it's raw, it's vulnerable, it's all there in the book. But alongside my story, there's my thoughts, and there's also self-help tricks and tips. You've got a bit of homework to do as you read. We look at boundary setting, working with us inner child, looking at dreams, looking at environments that are positive for us and sometimes negative for us. There's so much in the book that we do together, and it's that journey. I want us to go on this journey together. Like I opened up with, I know what it's like to have suicidal thoughts. I know what it's like to feel like you don't belong in this world. I know what it's like to give up on all your dreams. I know what rejection feels like, but I also know what it's like when all that stuff passes and you're living your best life through your authentic self. And that's what I want the reader to take away. I want them to be able to take some of that and apply it to themselves in their daily lives.
What a gift that you give to the world, just in sharing your story.
If my book, when it sells and people read it, that's amazing. And I hope people take something away. But it's a scary, nerve-wracking process. It's like this, when I'm long gone, this is still going to be a part of our world. It might be gathering dust or used as a coffee coaster, but I've left something behind, and that's incredibly. That's big. That's big.
It is big. It is big. So the last time you and I spoke during your first interview for AwareNow, I remember you said something like this. You said, human connection, that's what life is about. The more we connect, the more we feel alive. That said, can you share one recent experience, one human connection recently that made you feel alive?
So I did a conference a few weekends ago that was supporting children in care here in the UK. And I was part of a human library. So I was a book on the shelf, and groups of people, children in care, came and sat around me, and I was to read a chapter of my life. And during this time, I spoke around birth parents and growing up without a dad. And I shared that. And there was a young lad, 14, 15 years old, sat next to me. And at the end, we were like, have you got any questions? And he looked in his hands and he started talking. And he was like, I feel it. I grew up, I don't know my birth parents. I've got a foster dad and he's old, referencing to my mum being a lot older than myself. And he's like, Jono, I look up to you and you're a male role model. You're somebody who I look up to. And he's just started doing taekwondo. And I don't know, when everybody left, he hung around. And even for the whole day, he hung around and we spoke and we shared. And I don't know, it's that human connection. That was something that I have looked for my entire life, that male role model. And there were moments where I saw it in a teacher. There's moments where I see it when one of my friends becomes a dad and I watch them with their child. And yeah, that's something that I've observed from afar. And this young lad seeing that in me, man, that was pretty special.
So much for sharing that. So there's one more thing that I must ask you today. For those who are feeling very lost inside and looking, as we say, for that hero within, what advice do you have? Where do we start? How do we do it?
So where do you start? You start with basics. So again, referring to my book, I am going to give you so many tips. And we talk about working with our inner child. We talk about boundary setting. That's big work, and that's really, really stuff that you need to do. And I encourage everybody to get into that kind of stuff. I talk about self-love and acceptance. But before all of that, there's some basics that we all can do right now. And that is drink some water, eat some good food, make a conscious effort to relax your shoulders, look up, smile, take a deep breath, be kind to yourself. The words that we use on a daily basis, I used to call myself so many horrible things when I was struggling. Oh, why have you done this? Whereas now it's like, it's okay, you got this, relax, deep breaths. And it sounds so simple, but if you start off by doing those things, it just helps you sets yourself up perfectly for the next. So people look for the quick fix, or oh my God, you've got to do therapy. Oh my God, you've got to do X, Y, Z. Now we can be doing some basics right now to help us.
Begin with the basics. That's good advice. Jono, thank you so much for sharing your story yet again, for sharing this book with the world. Excited to get our hands on it. And thank you for helping all of us just become a bit more aware now.
Thank you. I feel so... I'm doing an audio book as well. We're recording that next week. Yes, so people will be able to do the audio book with my voice. I'll try not to be too old English Yorkshire so you don't understand my accent, but I'm excited about that. But again, I just feel incredibly lucky that I have a platform and people do listen and people do share, people do connect with me, because it fills me up with love and it fills me up with energy to live and give and continue to put myself out there. And there have been times when we've spoken about trolls and the negative stuff, and that creates impact, and rightly so. But I don't often, or it doesn't get enough, I don't put enough thank yous out there, because every single day I receive so many messages of love. And I just want to say thank you to every single person who sends love my way, because it just fills me up with so much goodness.
Oh, well, so much love being sent your way right now, and light as well. So,
but I do have a question for you. Do you have a recent human connection?
ooh, well, I would say certainly right now I'm feeling, isn't it strange? We can be on Zoom and in different countries, and I can look at you on the monitor. You can look back at me, and the fact that I can feel you right now. The human connection that's available if we pause, if we take a break, if we're brave enough to just be present and receive it. So I would say right now, Jono.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
No, absolutely no. Thank you. We talk about that in the book, that one of the scariest things, when you have panic attacks, when you have social anxiety, when you don't believe yourself, when you don't love yourself, you all of a sudden become very closed, and you don't want to go outside. But what you're doing is you're denying yourself human connection. You're denying yourself those moments that can change your life, that can fill your cup up, that can help you to relax. And we just got to put ourselves out there and allow us to make those human connections. So yeah.
Be brave enough to be your own hero. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you for your time, for your story. Again, as always, more and more aware now with the words that you share. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me back. Hugely appreciate it.